She wants nothing to do with Meghan and Harry. She has made that perfectly clear through her actions throughout the years. She definitely can see Meghan is trying to get on her turf, and she's just putting a stop to it right away before it even happens. She's just saying, look, you need to check yourself.
Just when Prince Harry and Meghan might think things are turning in their direction. I mean, after all, he set up the Paps to have him celebrating the big victory when it comes to the drug cover-up. And Meghan has even tried to pretend she still has a friend from school who sends her lovely pictures of themselves from their holidays. Just while all of that is going down, Gwyneth Paltrow puts the boot in oh, the most subtle way. To discuss it all, I'm delighted to be joined today by Stephanie and Nancy Sidley. You, of course, know them as the Twin Talk Twins. So great to have you back on Outspoken for the first time, just the three of us. Really looking forward to this, and we've got a lot to discuss. But first, guys, can we talk about this Gwyneth Paltrow interview? Because it's clever the way that Gwyneth has done it, and I'll get a little bit in depth in just one moment. But effectively, what she has done, and she's obviously hit it with a whole load of faint praise, but what she has done is deny these rumours that Team Sussex have been trying to put out for years, that Meghan and Gwyneth have some type of friendship. She says absolutely not.
Bravo, Gwyneth.
We thought it was great. It was brilliant what she did.
Cryptic.
Very cryptic. And
Good
obviously
word.
she squashed those rumors, which was brilliant because she did not want to be associated with Meghan. Obviously, when Gwyneth had that Goop Hamptons summit thing and Meghan was there, she did everything she could to not be pictured or have Meghan come to that Goop thing with Reese Witherspoon and Cameron Diaz. So we knew that Gwyneth was a little like, stay away from me. But the Vanity Fair article was so perfect, and we just knew exactly what she was trying to say. She was saying, yeah, Meghan, you should definitely try it.
You should do it.
You should definitely try to be.
You should be an influencer.
You should be an influencer like me. Everybody should try something.
It's so easy.
Yeah, if you think it's so easy, Meghan, come on in. There's plenty of room, because she's basically like saying, I am not threatened by you, Meghan. You do not threaten me. The more the merrier. Come on in. The water's fine. Because
let's watch this train wreck.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
She did the same thing to Kourtney Kardashian when Kourtney made Poosh, which was like a poor man's Goop, and she went on the Kardashians and just did the same thing. She was just like, "Oh God, I'm so we got
so cute.
We have to protect our female girls, and we have to support women, and we have to everyone has to come out with candles, and yay!" But it's like she's mocking them at the same time, and oh God, Dan, the fact that she said, I don't know them.
Yes, and then the journalist sort of had to remind her, oh, you do. I found that absolutely fascinating. And in fact, I want to go into all of the details of that. But first, what I like is you've said it's cryptic from Gwyneth. We can read between the lines. You know who isn't being cryptic? You know who isn't trying to hide things? And I support this just as much. Martha Stewart. This is now all out war. So obviously, if you were watching the show last week, you would know that Meghan stole Martha Stewart's one pot pasta recipe, and Martha actually went online and said, mine is the original and the best. Now she has posted this on her Instagram story. Honestly, I can't believe it's real, but I'm told it is. Martha is hosting a champagne and caviar party. Where are you sitting? Now she's there alongside Snoop Dogg and Meryl Streep. And then table 2, the one no one wants to be on, Meghan Markle, Oprah Winfrey, and Kendrick Lamar. So there's nothing subtle or cryptic about Martha Stewart's war with Meghan, is there?
No, she's literal. And I love that about her. I mean, she did the same thing with Ryan Reynolds when she was talking about him. She said, he's not a funny guy.
Yeah,
She
I
goes,
love Martha.
She's like, he's very dark.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's funny at all. Like she's real. She's
Yeah.
authentic.
Very authentic.
But
And
when I saw that, I thought it was fake too. I actually
Yeah.
went to Nancy and I was like, is this
I
real?
know.
And Nancy looked it up and she goes, it's totally real.
I thought it was fake.
But look, Martha has reason to be annoyed, though, because all Meghan needed to do, right, was show the OG a little bit of love. And that's
Yes.
where she's so stupid. And her psychology is always so wrong. Just imagine if she'd said in With Love, Meghan, but this is something that she would never be able to bring herself to do, by the way. But just imagine if she'd said, this is my one pot pasta recipe, totally inspired by the OG, the lifestyle guru, the woman who I look up to, the legend that is Martha Stewart. It would have changed everything. But Meghan can never give anyone else credit.
No.
No, I mean, she's literally taking peanut butter pretzels and putting them into another bag. I mean, she will never give anyone any credit.
And what I thought was interesting, because I did watch the Martha Stewart one pot pasta, Martha doesn't need a yes man next to her going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, are you going to put that in there? Like Martha's just like, okay, this is what you do. That's what I thought Meghan's show was originally going to be. Her in the kitchen, giving us step-by-step stuff. Instead, she's talking to the director. She's really just uncomfortable the whole time. She doesn't know who to look to. It just was so robotic and weird. But yeah, good for Martha. I'm proud of her. That's awesome. I love her.
Now, let's dig into this Gwyneth Paltrow Vanity Fair article, because I think it is worth just looking at her exact words. She won't be happy, by the way, with the fact that the headline is Gwyneth Paltrow on motherhood, make America healthy again, Meghan Markle making out with Timothy Chalamet, and much more. Most people actually have been more interested, I guess, with the fact that she's making out with Timothy Chalamet in this new movie. But here is the subtle way that she throws shade on Meghan Markle. So the journalist writes, when I feebly suggest that maybe the drone, talking about the paparazzi drone, came for Oprah or Harry and Meghan, Paltrow cracks, it's 3 for the price of 1 up here. Then she adds, I don't know Meghan and Harry. The journalist says, I'm surprised given how close they live. And then Gwyneth clearly knows, oh, shivers, I've been caught out. I'm going to have to tell the truth. I mean, I've met Meghan, she says, who seems really lovely, but I don't know her at all. Maybe I'll try to get through their security detail and bring them a pie. I mean, the shade, right?
It was like an interrogation room and the light got pointed at her at that moment. It was like, okay, really tell the truth.
Yeah. Do you know them?
Do you know them? And it's like, oh man. And then she talks about the security, because we all know that Harry has been pushing this narrative for the past 5 years. And she said it. She actually said it.
And she knows, living in Montecito, the
they
security
don't need
detail for him.
detail.
They don't need it. Yeah.
And what was the pap walk, Dan? I mean, what was that?
Oh.
Where's he walking into?
Exactly. And it just so happens that it's This Morning, and it just so happens that it's Backgrid, the paparazzi agency. I think then what Gwyneth goes on to do in the interview, by the way, is subtly give some advice to Meghan Markle, which I think Meghan would be very, very wise to listen to. So listen to Paltrow's words, because it's actually the opposite way that Meghan thinks of other women. So Paltrow says, I was raised to see other women as friends, not foes. I think there's always more than enough to go around. Everybody deserves an attempt at everything that they want to try. And she says, another woman is never your competition. What is right for you will find you. And she also adds, oh, that's why I like to go on other women's podcasts. But of course, we know that she has absolutely no intention of appearing on Ms. Markle's podcast.
She wants nothing to do with Meghan and Harry. She has made that perfectly clear through her actions throughout the years. And Gwyneth is known for being like the mean girl in Hollywood in a good way. like a way we can respect. Like we're like, we get it. Like you are so in your sauna, dry brushing your skin every day, and you talk about your wool sweaters, and that's great. Like we see what we get.
You're just eating bone broth
Yeah.
for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah,
like
like-
we get it.
Yeah,
like it's cool.
But she definitely can see Meghan is trying to get on her turf, and she's just putting a stop to it right away before it even happens. She's just saying, look, you need to check yourself and see what you're doing, and maybe get some reflection before you continue on whatever it is you're doing.
And then also, I loved in the article, she said, I haven't even watched the trailer.
yes,
She said that.
It's
Oh,
like
savage.
burn. And no, you are completely right. I mean, look, I'm no big fan of Gwyneth Paltrow, but it's not about that. That's not what it's about. She works and Goop works because she is authentically her, just like Martha Stewart. They're not trying to pretend to be every woman. That's not the point. And that's why I think Meghan's positioning was so dishonest and so inauthentic. But speaking of dishonest and inauthentic, what do you think about the fact that Meghan couldn't even allow Harry to have his little moment in the spotlight, literally just as he wins big because there's this drug cover-up going on, she decides to share an unseen throwback snap of herself as a fresh-faced high school student, just so she knew when all of the headlines were going on about her husband's visa documents, it would be her who was pictured. Sure enough, that's how the Mail framed it. She posted on Instagram, when your dear friend from middle school, high school sends you something from your alma mater and it brings you the biggest smile to your face, go Pandas, thanks. Shush. What do you make of this, girls?
Well, there's a couple things that she did there. She tagged the pandas because she knew then that Immaculate Heart would then put the picture up on their page as well. So she was trying to get comments. Now, what was strange was I went over to Immaculate Heart and there were only positive comments. So what they had done was they had someone deleting probably all the negative ones as it was coming in. So I think she's testing the waters on what the comments are going to say if she wants to in the future open up her comments, because right now she's losing out on money on Instagram by keeping those comments restricted.
Yeah,
because everybody knows, like, the more likes and comments you get, the more money you get paid. I think she's getting desperate and she's sort of testing the waters. And again, as an American, as a person who grew up as an American,
seriously,
yeah,
you're just
as a person on as a person on the West Coast and who grew up in the same time as Meghan, that throwback picture is so pathetic.
It's
and
so LA,
thirsty and desperate, and it's pathetic.
And also, it's like she really is. I think she's trying to dip her foot into the pool because a couple nights ago she opened her comments up
on the waffles,
on the waffle story.
Wafflegate.
When she made those waffles, she opened her comments up.
Well, I want to talk about Wafflegate. What happened with the comments?
Well, this is the first time she ever opened them. So what do you think happened? I mean, if people were going underneath going, apologize to the Queen, apologize to the late Queen. Why would you do this to Prince Philip? People were going nuts.
It was on the Instagram story that she opened. She didn't actually open.
Not on Instagram posts, but on the story of Wafflegate.
Yeah,
she opened up her comments. So she definitely is reading them.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out, should I open them on my actual post?
That'll never happen.
But first, the reason you're watching this show is that it's becoming increasingly difficult to trust mainstream media or the so-called fact checkers who claim to determine which facts are true. And there's good reason for that, given the debate over free speech, the controversy surrounding Brexit, and how Trump and other politicians challenging the status quo are portrayed. But I have the solution. It's called Ground News, and it's the best way to stay informed and cut through media bias and narrative so you can get the facts for yourself. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out. But I want to show you this incredible website in action. So let's go to one of my favorite news stories in recent weeks. Do you remember that speech by JD Vance, the US Vice President at the Munich Security Conference. Oh my God, he was good. He just tore into the European governments. He tore into the UK for our despicable retraction of free speech. It was honestly amazing. Now, what Ground News does, and this happens instantly, by the way, they collate the 361 stories into one place. Then they show how it is being covered, broken down by whether these media organizations lean to the left or right. This is called the bias distribution service. If you then scroll down, you actually can see every article about this topic broken down by the political position and ownership of the publication. So in this case, Newsmax, GB News reported that Vance finally had the guts to point out uncomfortable truths to our leaders here in Europe. By contrast, the left-wing HuffPost claimed the speech left all of Europe aghast. It really didn't. And the Independent, well, they went off on a total other tangent by using it as a way just to slag off Elon Musk, as they always do. What's more, though, is that Ground News actually gets to know you personally, providing you with the news stories you're interested in while also analysing your own biases. My favourite feature is their blind spot feed, which surfaces upwards of 20 stories every day that you might not be hearing about because of the corruption of the mainstream media. Now, look, I know because you're watching Outspoken, you love the news, but you don't trust the legacy media. So Ground News gives you the tools to understand the truth about what is going on in the world. It is the only way I read the news, allowing you to see through manipulative media biases and narratives. So no more relying on the MSM to define the truth for you. Sounds good to me. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out. What's more, you can subscribe through my link for 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what I use for unlimited access. Ground News' subscriber funding, supporting my sponsors, also supports my work. And for less than a Netflix subscription, you can get all the world's news in one place and think for yourself. This has been a game changer for a news junkie like me. That's ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show. Now, Nancy, you were one of the first in the world to spot this despicable mocking, I would say, of Queen Elizabeth II here, saying some are speculating that she made a waffle that resembles Her Majesty the Queen because Her Majesty gave the Harkles a waffle maker on Christmas. If true, that is sick and twisted. How dare Meghan mock our late Queen? And then you went on to say if Meghan was not mocking Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth again, then she needs to come out and correct the rumours because this is outrageous. And the thing is, I'm completely with you, Nancy. If this was another member of the royal family, you might cut them some slack and you might say this was just a mistake. But can we just remember what she did on Netflix with the bow? You know, and it was this moment, I think, that we all knew that this woman has no respect for the Queen. Maybe she thought it was a funny little tribute, but it wasn't. And I think it was offensive, actually.
It is completely offensive. I was hoping I was wrong. That's why I put it up on Twitter, X. I was really hoping that I was wrong and that people would correct me because that is so sick and twisted. How dare you mock a woman that you tortured the last couple of years of her life? And that's why Americans are against you. That's why the liberals now are. We live in Portland, Oregon. We grew up on the West Coast. We're liberals. We don't like you, Meghan. Stop with this narrative that it's this right-wing agenda. If you actually think that people are going to be on your side if you mock the late Queen, that woman gave her life to the world. She is respected.
I thought it looked like George Washington at first.
Yeah.
That was my summary of that. But then people were just, Nancy even said, she was like white hair, blue eyes.
I mean, I didn't get it at first. And I think it was your post on X, Nancy, but then I was like, oh my God, of course it is. Of course it is, because there was all the connection to the waffle maker. And I mean, this shows you the desperation, right? Have you seen? She's actually briefed to her friends at the New York Post about the waffle maker lie, which was so obviously a lie. We all exposed it was a lie. So this is how Page Six has put it. Page Six exclusively learned that 2 different waffle makers were used, one for the kids and one for the adults, but the inconsistencies had fans speculating whether Markle actually made the festive waffles for her children. Well, of course she didn't. We know she didn't. And the fact that you're having to brief that proves that you didn't.
But see, Dan, that's what I'm talking about. She will come out and brief the press on stupid details like that, like lying about a waffle and being an Eggo waffle. But she needs to come out and say something about mocking the queen if she in fact was doing that, and just go, guys, that's a silly rumor, because that's sick. Right now in my head, I think that she was mocking the queen.
Yeah, but
Does
she hasn't
really want to go through her life like that?
No, but the point is she hasn't. You're completely right. I mean, exactly when her people are calling up Page Six, because trust me, that is an official briefing from Team Sussex. They could have just said to the journalist at the New York Post, oh, and by the way, it wasn't the late Queen. But she didn't, because it was.
Be like, this is so silly. It was a leprechaun with, I didn't have green whipped cream. It was a leprechaun. Don't worry, guys, or something stupid like that.
But we also have to remember, she also has not denounced the Sussex Squad online.
Ever.
Yeah, and what they say.
Never, ever.
So she's never going to admit that she's wrong. She's never going to.
But that's sick. That's sick and twisted. I mean, then she just wants the whole world against her.
Then, and then she made it for Harry.
Sure, we really believe that.
I'm sure. Harry grew up with crumpets and Cristal and caviar. You think he's going to eat that? No.
And also, that was a photo shoot. That was like a photo shoot. That wasn't food you're about to serve someone because it's getting cold.
And who has two different waffle makers for kids and adults? Nobody does that. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Totally. You have two different. Oh,
and the problem is she's just not very good at this whole homemaking cooking thing. So these embarrassments are going to keep coming. Now, can we talk about the records itself, though? Because, Nancy, you posted on this, and for me, this is a cover-up. It's Prince Harry's drug cover-up. That's how I feel. But you wrote, Nancy, here's the problem. President Trump and King Charles have been friends for years. He's not going to screw him over by embarrassing his son. I'm sure whatever was redacted did show special favors. That's my opinion. And to be honest, that has been my point of view for a long time on this. Harry is lucky. He is lucky that Trump has so much respect for Charles and now William too, the Prince of Wales. Because, I mean, Trump can't stand Meghan and Harry, but he doesn't want to cause issues for the royal family.
Well, when Harry did come over, the Queen was still alive. So a lot of people are speculating it was an A1 diplomatic visa where he was like, as a diplomat coming into the country. I can't say that for sure. I'm only speculating, but President Trump does have a affinity for the royal family, and he shows them respect like everybody does. Most of the world does. This whole narrative of nobody cares about the royal family, that's a lie, especially in America. So I just don't think that he's going to want to stress King Charles out right now, because this would then be on the palace as well, that the palace knew. I mean, that's just my opinion.
And King Charles doesn't want to back.
He
doesn't want to back.
No, and Trump knows that. Trump knows that, and that probably would have at least been referred to in some type of way during the meeting at the opening of the Notre Dame Cathedral. But look, Niall Gardner, who's one of the bigwigs at the Heritage Foundation, who's been pushing for this. He's a really good guy, and he is going to fight on. And I think it's right that he fights on, by the way. He posted on X last night, there is zero accountability and transparency in the heavily redacted documents released today. The American people have a right to know whether Prince Harry lied regarding his extensive illegal drug use on his US immigration application. And then he went and appeared on Talk TV here in the UK. Let's have a watch at what he had to say.
Biden saying, oh, we don't want to let you see this form. But now we've got a different president who doesn't really care, to be honest with you. I think he's like the rest of us. He's quite intrigued himself. Why then is the Department of Homeland Security still apparently going to the ends of the earth to spare Prince Harry's blushes?
It's a very good question, and I strongly urge the new leadership of the Department of Homeland Security to release Prince Harry's immigration records in full to the American people in unredacted form. And I think there's a clear public interest actually in the enforcement of American immigration law. And if Harry lied on his application, he should be fully held to account. I do think that we need to see the new U.S. administration really fundamentally reject the approach taken by the Biden administration. The Biden administration went to incredible lengths to prevent the release of these records. The Biden administration is now gone, and I believe that the new U.S. administration should release Harry's immigration application as soon as possible. I do think ultimately we will see the release of the records. It's just a matter of time. And these latest documents were only released, of course, by the Department.
And I mean, it's a joke when you look at them, because I mean, literally no idea. Like, no idea. Now, I stand by the fact that I believe he lied. I believe he lied.
100%. I'm with you, Dan. Of course he lied. Of course, he's not going to put that he did drugs on a application. There's no way he's going to do that. Now, this all falls on him. He should have never written it in the book if you didn't want it coming out. I think Harry's just been so sheltered his entire life that he didn't think that there would be any consequences to writing such things in that horrible book.
He definitely thought that someone was going to cover it up, help him.
Of course he
grew
did.
up like that.
Because exactly, he's thick. He's never had to do these types of things on his own. He's always ignored advice. And the problem is, he had the ghostwriter, who, let's be honest, is a good writer, got everything out of Harry, who was saying, you've got to put it all in, you've got to say it all. And by this point, Harry had lost all of the shrewd people around him who said, oh, maybe it's not the best idea to reveal your kill count in Afghanistan when you're claiming that you are a target, because that's going to put a target right on your back. Maybe it's not the best idea to expose the fact that loads of drug taking goes on at Courtney Cox's Hollywood mansion, because, you know, that's just not what you really do to your mates in Hollywood. He just didn't care. He wasn't prepared to take any advice. Now, I still think he's probably not. However, I think he will be a little bit burned by this, because he realizes now that he's not protected by the Biden administration, which he most definitely was previously.
Yes. I mean, I think he definitely has a reputation now for just being here in a very ungrateful way. He says that he doesn't like our First Amendment. He has all these problems with America, but you have no problem living here and enjoying our land and all
living in your safe space.
Exactly, in your safe space. I mean, yeah, Americans do not like this guy. So maybe he needs to just start doing more things abroad. But as far as him doing things here, I just don't think he's going to be accepted.
They draw so much attention to themselves by being dumb. That now it's like everyone has skeletons in their closet. I mean, everyone does, right? But if you draw attention to yourself, we're going to dig those up quicker.
Well, look, speaking of being dumb, could you believe this today? Meghan has again fallen foul of the US patent rules. The trademark office has told her that she must now clarify exactly what she means by various items, including spoons, serving jam, and fruit preserves. Now, this is the latest application for as ever. Of course, the previous one failed for American Riviera Orchard. But what's so fascinating is Richard Eden and the Daily Mail today writes that bizarrely Meghan made the same mistake when trying to trademark the TIG, and again with archetypes. So it's like, is this woman ever going to learn? Like, surely the definition of insanity is repeating your mistakes time and time again.
But Dan, I've always said this, her brand is so schizophrenic, because you think about it, it's like she has all these different names, archetypes, Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, ARO, with love Meghan, as ever. It's just so schizophrenic. And then if you sort of notice it, she has different voices for things. Like Archetypes was like this, I'm a strong woman. Hi, I have a radio voice. But then like when she was the Duchess, she was like mute. No one heard anything.
Or like with Mindy Kaling now, she's like, I'm Sussex now.
Yeah, now I'm Sussex. It's like such a schizophrenic brand. It's all over the place. I can't. I go nuts.
But does she not have a lawyer that can help her with these things? That's what I don't understand. I mean, if they have so much money, which I think they're going broke, that's my opinion. Why does she not have a lawyer doing this for her? Why is she doing this herself? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Totally.
I mean, this is California. There's a lawyer on every corner. You can find anybody to do it.
And this is Business 101, and the business is a mess, an absolute mess. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.